up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about a bunch of comic books that have come out this week, and we review them.
So many. We had an extra one added late because Pete got angry.
Yeah, I fucking freaked out.
I love it. I know. I didn't.
Yeah,
I would say it was one of your more polite freakouts because it was over email,
Yes.
as opposed to ranting in the
And
street.
just to give you pull back the curtain a little bit, so I'll usually go through what's been released, what we get in advance. I'll shoot it out to Justin and Pete and be like, "Hey, here you go." And we even had a conversation last week.
You're damn right we did.
Where Pete was like, "Why the fuck didn't you put this in the stack?" And I was like, "You did not say anything to me at any point."
Batman
and this
82.
is, and I would also say this is a good thing for relationships. You know, it's like if somebody isn't calling you, don't get mad because they're not calling you. Call them.
Oh, that's
wow.
nice.
And
don't just get mad and go punch one of those carriage horses in Central Park, which is what you did last week.
Yeah. By the way, nice ankle bracelet.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, man.
But
That's
you
for
demanded
jail.
that we talk about Batman 83. I hadn't originally sent that out, and you were like, "What the fuck? Why didn't you fucking put Batman
it's a
83?"
big fucking issue, bro.
It is. We'll get to it in a second. So let's kick it off then with Absolute Carnage number 5 from Marvel Comics.
Classic Salvin
Back
move.
of the line. Back of the line for old Peter.
Now we're building the anticipation.
Oh, sure.
Anticipation. This is the last issue of Absolute Carnage, which finally pits Carnage up against Venom.
What an ending.
Oh, boy.
Well, what did you think about this? What did you think about the event as a whole? How do you think it tied up?
Well, first of all, the art is bananas.
This is Ryan Stegman.
Yeah, just really created an amazing, fun world for this huge event. And I thought it was unbelievable. I never got tired of it. I thought they did a good job of keeping it interesting. So many moving pieces. What an amazing ending. And you thought, like, what the end was? No, they had, like, this smaller, better moment to end it on that was just so cool. And I loved this. I loved it.
I liked that Venom was given sort of a Sophie's choice, and he made his choice. And then it's the end of this event, but it's getting way worse.
Yeah, well, this is like the end of Sophie's Choice, where she has to kill that giant flag monster.
Yeah,
Right.
I know that movie's
And then
released the
it's
Snyder
fucked
Cut
up.
of Sophie's Choice.
Oh, my
that
God.
shit.
Don't get
Let's
me
do this.
started.
I love that.
Did you see Meryl tweeted about it the other day?
Yeah, man. She's been jumping into so many mentions, being like, "Oh yeah, I got a choice for
Fuck
you.
you.
Fuck you, Meryl."
down.
Block.
I
block
loved,
another
did you
street.
see Mamma V Mia?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Dawn of Dancing Queens?
Look, can we get back to the comic?
No, I don't think so.
No, this is good.
I like this as well. It was interesting. We had Donnie Cates on our New York Comic Con show a couple of weeks ago. You can listen to the podcast of that in the Comic Book Club feed. And I believe on the show, or maybe backstage, he was talking about how he was writing the last lines of Absolute Carnage at New York Comic Con while surrounded by security guards, which hadn't meant to happen, but that's kind of how things ended up. And it's funny to think about that story in your head while you're reading the last page, which is a relatively quiet, relatively emotional page.
What a great choice.
So good. Such a good choice.
I mean, you could have ended it on the Venom sperm going through the space, but they didn't. They had like a better...
Well, and this is definitely getting into spoilers here, but we
Interesting
touched on
metaphor.
this. I love the choice to end a big event on them losing.
Yeah, me
You
too.
know? That's great.
I mean, who knows? No, maybe he's gonna take his time.
Right.
He might make some pit
Come
stops.
I mean,
This
when
is
you're
our
flying in space on a space dragon, I mean, it doesn't look like it's that fast. So you got some time before he gets to
Plus,
Earth.
do you think Noel knows where Earth is? He's going to be like, okay, here we go. What is Earth? Where are we
Yeah,
going? I don't know.
Do I
is this
left
Earth?
at Venus or is
Yeah,
it a right?
If he gets to Venus, he's pretty close, and I think a left to Venus is almost good directions. But it's going to take him a while because he comes from a weird place.
But overall, this is a great title. It was a great event. I'm glad about how it wrapped up. Let's move over to a DC Comics kind of event, but kind of an event comic. He-Man and the Masters of the Multiverse, #1. This is wild.
Yeah.
This is like Into the Spider-Verse, but with He-Man.
I mean, very directly is what it is.
Yeah.
And I did not expect that going in at all, but...
I was taken aback.
You were taken aback.
I was taken aback.
While
I had
was
to
reading this,
look at I was like, wait, what?
I have to assume you are the biggest He-Man fan of the three of us, right, Pete?
Oh, yeah. I watched all the cartoons, had
so
a lot of the action.
what's going on here? Who are these people?
I have fucking no idea.
Okay.
And I was deep into He-Man, dude.
Yeah.
Seen every episode, had a ton of action figures.
Yeah, so this is like Into the Spider-Verse for He-Man meets the One with Jet Li, because there's a evil He-Man that's traveling through the multiverse, stealing all of their power and consolidating them.
Which is not a He-Man thing to do.
Well, but what I really liked about this, a number of things. So all the characters are He-Man characters. They're just like, when we get to the Skeletor world where he has a face instead of a skull, and he's like a good guy, you get to see all the good guy versions of the bad guys from
but the
figures.
little toy He-Man thing like really freaked me out. Like that.
Well, that was the most Spider-Verse-y thing. I was like, I don't think we need that.
Yeah,
right.
that
There's
really
an
pulled me out of
emoji-style He-Man.
Yes, and I was like, oh, that's too Spider-Ham. I would because I actually really liked this, and I didn't realize how nostalgic I was for He-Man.
Yeah, dude.
I was like really, and then also when I saw the Sorceress, I was like, oh, as a child, I was sexually attracted to the Sorceress because when I saw it, I was like, oh, ooh, okay,
right at your
yeah,
right at your hairy eggs.
Whatever. Okay,
that's another podcast.
Right? Yeah, please don't, please do not. But I really liked this. This was fun.
Yeah, very good. Definitely pick that up. Moving over to another title.
Oh, real quick, and they also fold in the movie stuff.
Yes, they do.
A key.
So hopefully Frank Langella is going to do a cameo at some point down the road. Let's move on to our heartfelt part of the podcast where we talk about two titles that both start with the word heart. So don't get them mixed up. First one, Heartbeat.
We would never get them mixed up.
Number one.
But let's make sure we, as usual, have Alex explain which one is which before we move into this.
Yes. Well, the way that I'm going to explain
And
which one.
we know which one is which.
Oh, sure.
I do.
You know what? I wouldn't want to take that away from you guys. Pete, you explain it.
All right, great. So first, Heartbeat is the artist, worked with Brian Azzarello. She's really an amazing artist. But it's the story of, I don't know.
Yes. Okay. So
I don't know how to explain that.
No, that's fine. Heartbeat number one is from Boom Studios. This is, as you mentioned, it's a girl. She's, I think, in art school, maybe.
Yeah. The story you're talking about.
It's essentially very dreamlike as she walks through her life, as she interacts with these characters. There's potentially a murder, it seems like, towards the end of the book. It's not 100% clear what is happening and what is real or what is not, but this book is very powered by feeling. It's very powered by emotion, which I thought was really cool.
And the art's really great. Brian Azzarello has a pull quote. Is the art on Faithless book that we like, especially Alex.
Likes.
But I also like it, but Alex likes Sorceress of Eternia likes it.
Feel it in my hairy eggs.
Please stop saying that.
Yeah.
It's a Mandalorian thing. It's a Mandalorian.
I know what you're talking about, and I don't like it. I'm not a Jawa. So
great rap.
Great. I will say, so this story, the art is fantastic, and I liked the way it's like a character who we find out is maybe suicidal, and then she encounters like real danger, and that starts a mystery that is maybe going to keep her alive. So I thought that part was cool. There was so much dream stuff going on that I was like, I don't quite know what's happening, but I liked that plot motivator.
Well, let's move on to the other Heart book. This is from Image Comics, Heart Attack number one. I really enjoy this a lot. This takes place, I assume, in a futuristic society. There's a bit of back matter about this, where people have these almost latent superpowers, almost like mutant powers. There's a group that's trying to suppress them.
VCU.
Meanwhile, the society continues as normal. And one woman discovers she has these powers when she touches a guy she's never met before. This was so much fun.
Yeah. I like this a lot. I like the way that cell phones are now little cards. What a fun thing.
But also,
be really expensive if you drop it.
I really liked the way they discovered the powers, and we didn't waste a lot of time. Like, well, will they get back together or won't they to use their powers? Like, she figures it out pretty quick. I love the way that they kind of handle it and the choices that they make together. And like the last kind of like image is really powerful of them kind of like holding hands and fighting crime. It's
very
really great.
Fenris. From Avengers.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah.
What I really like about this is the premise itself of people having powers and being very weak, very small powers, and they own the amplification of connecting with each other is what gives you the full power
Connection
set.
is really powerful.
It's very cool. It reminded me of Looper. Remember they had like small telekinetic powers.
Okay. Yeah, you just wanted to mention.
I'm a film fan. Just wanted to say.
Cinetiste.
I'm a cinetiste. I'm a philophile.
Yes. Let's move on to one I bet you love, Justin. 2099 Alpha.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love 80 years-ish from now.
Right. It's very soon. Now, we were talking about this on the live show. This takes place in the year 2099. It's revisiting that Marvel future. It ties into what Mindy Spencer has been doing over at Amazing Spider-Man and works in a bunch of the 2099 characters. This is something that I have no nostalgia for whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, I completely missed this period in Marvel Comics.
You never read these originally?
Never read these originally. So I was a little lost.
It is confusing, and even I was like, oh, a lot of these characters weren't really part of the original 2099 run. Like the Punisher, they don't really touch on it in a way. Ghost Rider, I think, was rarely touched on in the 2099. Spider-Man, yes, but he's having sort of an arch conversation with another random dude. What I loved about this when I was a kid is it created a whole original line of characters and only used the names of certain characters except for Doom, and then told these brand new stories, as opposed to just being like, now it's Peter Parker the Ninth who's in this, which I think they talk about in the back matter of this book. So I really like that, and the fact that they're doing it again, I think, is smart. And Spider-Man 2099 is the original run is a great story, and I'm excited to see him back.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if you're not into it, you don't have that nostalgia to get excited about. For me, it was a lot of like, what, who is this? Okay, I kind of understand this a little bit. It was weird. I'm going to read it more to see if I can get more into it, but I'm not excited about it. It didn't do a good job of like, holy shit, what a cool world. Isn't this a cool take? Let's buckle up because this shit's going to get crazy.
The one thing that I will say very much in its favor is I like the conflict they've set up, which is that Doom 2099 has decided to save the world by essentially changing the future. And nobody knows that he's done that, but he has done that, and that is wrecking everything.
How about he's got the Watcher held prisoner? That was awesome.
That was
very cool.
That's not cool.
Why? He's a creep. He was just sitting on the moon being weird.
This to me felt like it's a preview issue. I want to get into the plot. Like this was too much of...
You're like, enough appetizers, give me the meat.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the vegetables.
I never order appetizers. Just get to the meal.
They're like tiny entrees.
I get too full.
Yeah.
I really like there was like an ad for a Punisher 2099.
Oh, you're into that.
It wasn't an ad. That was a preview.
Yeah.
A tease.
Well, I'm excited for that.
What year would you rather see your comic book characters living in? If you don't like 2099.
This year.
2099.
Yeah.
What about 2020?
Sure, yeah.
Are you going to feel nostalgic for 2019 characters?
They should start
next year?
publishing comics that are like 2020, the near future.
Yeah.
Like, well, yes, it is.
In the near future, we're 1 year closer to the next season of Stranger Things.
I think every comic has to start with Barbara Walters being like, "This is 2020."
I don't think she was saying that.
Well, something
you think
like that.
she was saying in that voice?
Yeah.
This is 2020.
All right, let's move on to a DC comic. You've been patient enough. Let's go to it. The Infected Scarab #1 DC Comics.
Got him again.
You fucking piece of
Classic
shit.
Pete
Wow.
Bird. Now, this is tying into the overall what's going on with the Batman Who Laughs over in Batman Superman. He's been infecting certain characters. We get to see the beginning of that with Blue Beetle in this issue. How do you feel about how it all went down?
Now, I've mentioned this before a couple times. DC is too busy. They're having a party, and they have too many themes that are competing with each other. There's guacamole. There's hummus.
There's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
like Manhattans. There's like a string quartet. It's a weird party. You're like, what's going on? Who?
I got to say, the Manhattans and the String Quartet really go together. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But so does the Infected and the Deceased. It's just they're too close.
Sure.
Like the Batman Who Laughs stuff is so close to Deceased in that he's infecting heroes and they're turning bad. And also it's touching on Year of the Villain. This is branded as Year of the Villain. And I'm like, it's not Year of the Villain. It's the Batman Who Laughs thing.
Right.
So it's confusing in that way. And because the Year of the Villain is the only thing that's not in here, and that's what the branding is.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what they're going for with this. I didn't mind this because it's always nice to see these Blue Beetle characters back together.
The Blue Beetle.
I love the Blue Beetle, but I didn't like this at all.
Well, here's the reason I think you didn't like it is Blue Beetle eats a dude in here, and I feel like how does he come back for that? Like, how does a nice, fun Spider-Man-esque character be like, well, also I ate a dude at one point?
This was not fun to watch. It was
well, I don't think it's supposed to be. Also, you're supposed to read it, Pete.
well, whatever.
Read
I read
it,
it,
Pete.
I read
Read
it.
it, Pete.
I watched it. I did not like the fact that, it's a great character turning evil, doing horrible things. I'm not into that.
I thought the art was really cool here and interesting.
Too creepy.
Too creepy for you.
It was very scary.
I do think the story, like, once you realized that he was being infected, it didn't really go anywhere from there. So I would have liked to see more happen besides him just eating a dude.
Let's move on to another Boom Studios book then. Once and Future #4. This is about a team that is getting together to stop an evil King Arthur from taking over Britain. Things have gotten from bad to worse.
I think he's just a regular King Arthur.
You keep saying that, and
Why
I
is
think
he?
you're wrong.
Why are you saying he's more evil than normal?
Than the normal King Arthur?
He's like, I don't like the Anglo-Saxons, and that's just basically what this guy
Come on,
said.
Yeah, that's true.
He's an evil.
You know,
King
and I
Arthur.
think he's a good guy. You're right.
I don't think he's a
Pete,
good guy.
You love this book.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you've got a badass grandma who's not as scared to take fuckers out. It's great. It's a lot of fun to see her, like, son slowly, well, not son, grandson, I guess, like slowly kind of come to grips with everything that's happening, just like we are kind of like coming to grips with all of this. I think it's a really creative, very fun adventure, and the art is glorious. It's a really great idea, and they're really executing it well.
I love the world sort of expands in this issue a lot.
Yeah.
We get to see a little bit more about how it works. There's grooming of different knights, and maybe every generation there's sort of a
Slayer?
Yep. A band called Slayer that really rocks.
Yeah. Shreds.
Yeah, this is this is by Kieran Gillen, and we've talked about how it's like Kieran Gillen's action movie. This is still very much an action movie, but where he starts to get into these archetypes and how people are groomed to be these archetypes. I was like, oh, okay, this is a Kieran Gillen book.
Yeah, the premise has emerged.
But also, finally, we get the power of the candle, man. Candles are super powerful and don't always get that due.
I know when your birthday happens, you're very careful.
Oh, yeah. You got to be.
You
man.
sort of Mitt Romney the candles, right?
Yes.
Pull them out and one at a time, blow them
For
out.
those listening at home, Pete is actually dressed as Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast.
Wow. Nice pronunciation.
Lovely
dude.
French.
Thank you. I did just watch it this weekend. Let's move back to Marvel Comics for Annihilation Scourge Alpha.
Yeah.
Another Alpha book. This is kicking off a new Annihilation storyline that's going to take the cosmic realm by storm. Here we get to see Annihilus and Blastar in the negative zone facing a new threat. It's even darker versions of the characters from the negative zone are attacking them, and we get a big reveal by the end of the issue of who the bad guy is and what's going on. How'd you feel about the kickoff of this one?
I have a feeling Pete's going to be in the negative zone about this comic.
Oh, yeah. I love Blastar, but this was not like...
You love Blastar?
Yeah, Blastar's awesome.
Why? Just because he's a space ape?
Yeah, man, he's great. He's very cool.
Nobody has ever in the history of comics say, I love Blastar.
Let's see, top
do.
three.
Stan Lee was like, I don't like this guy.
Top three favorite characters: Foggy Nelson, Blastar, combination of both of them.
Yeah, well, they did that Amalgam universe, but it was just the Marvel universe.
Yeah, Nelstar. He shot documents out of his hands.
Slightly more reasonable person. What did you think about it?
Excuse me. Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Slightly more reasonable.
I thought this is an interesting way into the event. I love the reveal of the villain / main character of this event at the end. And I've always liked Annihilus. I don't know why. I've always wondered why his...
What? Where's the fucking... Why aren't you attacking him?
No, he's right.
Yeah, Blastar doesn't make any sense.
Dude, Blastar's great.
He's just a space ape. It's like Ad Astra. If you... I don't know. Why is Annihilus's wing...
Wait, you just call him Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Why are Annihilus's wings always shredded?
They are. It makes him look creepy.
Yeah, but he needs to get that fixed.
Yeah.
If you had holes all over your hands, I'd be like, dude, sew those up.
So those...
I do have holes between my fingers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
That's
got space, no webs. No webs here, buddy.
I guess I should admit to the
I
listeners
like this
I
as
have
well.
webbed hands and feet.
I didn't, just structurally, it starts in the negative zone, then it cuts to Annihilus coming out of the negative zone, encountering Richard Rider and being like, please, we need help. The negative zone is being destroyed. And Richard Rider is like, what the fuck are you talking about? We hate you, Annihilus.
Yeah.
And then we flash to find out who the villain is. I could have done without the stuff in the negative zone. I thought it really picked up once we got Richard Rider, and it almost felt like it could have been this things are normal in space. Annihilus comes out, the shit has been kicked out of him, and the negative zone is being destroyed. That to me is a great start.
I'll do you one
The
better.
problem with that is there's no Blastar.
That's probably what they said in the writer's room.
Yeah. Where's the Blastar? I wish they cross-cut. I wish we got battle in the negative zone versus Richard Rider like fucking up, drinking and screwing around, and then they came together at the end.
Yeah.
Boom.
Whatever it was, this is a good setup. I am excited about this event, and we're not going to spoil what the villain is, but it is a pretty big reveal. I'm curious to see how they play it out. From Valiant Comics, Rye, #1. This is a Jewish deli's favorite comic book.
Oh, boy.
This is a great liquor to put into Manhattan.
Hey.
This actually takes place many thousands of years in the future of the Valiant universe. This is a character who used to be the protector of a place called New Japan. He caused New Japan to crash to the ground, and now he's walking through the remnants of civilization with a smaller but older version of himself. I believe the art here is by Jose Van Rip, who is
It's killing it. It's unbelievable.
amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Sort of
The
Valiant
fight
secret
sequences
weapon.
It reminds me of Jeff Darrow's art a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Particularly because there's a dinosaur in the background fighting people.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real draw for me.
I love this. I thought it was really cool. Some good storytelling here where it was like we kind of had a little before action, then a little story while action was going on. This is great. I'm very excited for this, and I want more. I also like the kind of like odd couple pairing here and the sarcasm that one of them kept throwing. I thought it was really fun and very interesting, and I'm excited for more.
I liked it too. I thought it was fun. It has sort of a father-son / buddy comedy vibe, and see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Let's get back to it. DC Comics. Here we go. The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage. Number one.
Wasn't falling for it.
You weren't falling for it this time?
Yeah.
This is a Black Label book by Jeff Lemire exploring the question, and the art is by Dennis Cowan. This, to me, feels like Jeff Lemire taking a little bit of what he did on Moon Knight and bringing it to the question, and it's great.
Yeah, I agree. I really like this. I've always loved the question, and getting into sort of the hard-nosed version, the less mystical side of it is cool. Obviously, there are notes of that, especially as the story goes on, but this was fun.
It was it was solid. I'm interested to see how this unfolds. I don't know. The art was kind of a little weird for me.
Dennis Cowan? You're going to slam him? Classic artist?
I think that
Classic
it works.
Pete Slam?
It works sometimes, but for some reason it was like a little weird for me.
The question is always interesting because his powers are having like a piece of rubber that goes over his face,
Right.
and smoke packets that shoot out when he puts the rubber over his
Well,
face.
what I think we're getting into by the end of this book is we're delving into the continuity of the question and how convoluted it is, because that's what they're starting to touch on there, that it doesn't make sense, that you can't hold this stuff together. And I do think they are going to delve into a little more what makes a dude who's an on-air anchor who puts on this mask and that's it special.
Yeah.
Also,
which I think
there's
is
some
neat.
dry ice in there too.
You think
Yeah,
it's dry ice?
like
It's
a
hard to
little
hold
bit.
on to, though, because it could burn you.
It could burn your
Ironically,
face.
it burns you.
Yeah.
And there are two questions currently in the DC universe, and I like both of them. So
Oh, interesting.
Let's move to another Boom Studios book. Something is Killing the Children, number 3. This book is about a monster that is the thing that is killing children in the small town. A woman has come to town to try to stop it. There's some mysterious stuff going on with her. She got picked up by the police last issue, and that's where we pick up. Man, this book is so good.
it's so good, and it's so dark and creepy. The opening sequence was fucked up.
So fucked up. And then, like, also just, I love the way they're portraying this character, the way she's, like, not helpful, but, like, kind of helpful. And, like, the way she kind of, like, walked through the whole arrest and, like, the way she talked to the cops was very cool and very interesting. It said so much about her. Yeah, I think she's a really great character, and I can't wait for more. It's very interesting.
It reminds me of the sort of dread and excitement of the first season of Stranger Things, and so which I think they lost a little bit in the last 2 seasons. So this is a very fills a welcome hole in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
kind
the
of liked
art
how
is
they
cool.
just decided to have a little fun with the third season. You know, it doesn't always have to be so fucking dark, you know?
Yeah, no, but this left a hole, is what I'm saying. Those Stranger Things seasons, and this is filling that hole.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that
It filled his thing hole.
Filled up my stranger hole.
I'm glad that your hole is filled.
Thank you.
Come on, asshole.
Deadpool number one.
I think
from
we're
Marvel
running out of time.
Yeah, we're almost out of time.
We only have time for 2 more comics.
Oh, yeah. Well, Deadpool number 1 from Marvel Comics. This is by Kelly Thompson, rebooting Deadpool. He is now headed
Don't forget the fucking artist, man.
Who's the artist?
Chris Baccio?
Baccialo.
Yeah.
Baccialo, yeah.
So this is Chris
Real
Baccialo.
standoff moment there.
Yes. Who's going to remember this first?
Yeah.
Chris Baccialo and Kelly Thompson. This takes Deadpool and brings him to Monster Island, which is now Staten Island, and puts him up against the monsters. This is a really fun start. My favorite part of this book, though, there's like this goodbye tour going on for Gwenpool in the Marvel Multiverse right now, and it's so sad.
It's sad and it's so good though. Like the moment in here where she's like, because the premise of Gwenpool, if you're not reading that, is that she's from another universe where she reads comics and knows everything about them. So she doesn't really have superpowers. She's somehow moved into the Marvel universe and she knows she's in a comic book. And she goes in this book like, hey, could you take my pet shark? Because my book is getting canceled. So you're more likely to have a book going forward, so I'm out of here. And then she leaves, and it was great.
Yeah, I love that scene. The rest of it is fun as well. The action is great.
The art is unbelievable. It's worth picking it up alone. It is so great. And there was this fun little moment where it's like this monster tree or whatever, and there's like a little cat who like jumps out of the tree. Is like, I'm free. It was hysterical.
Yeah, this is a good setup for a Deadpool book. I was wondering about what was going to happen for about half of it. What was going to be different about this?
Do you like how he's watching Avengers Endgame? That was hysterical.
Yeah, and it's winky and whatever, but seeing Deadpool take on different missions is fine. But seeing him, spoiler, ending up as the new king of the monsters, that's a fun setup. I want to read that going forward.
Yeah, because the first half of this book, I was like, this feels like every other reboot of Deadpool. Deadpool has been in so many situations. I was thinking, I want a big swing. And then when I got to the end, I was like, oh, they did that. That's great. Yeah. Now he's the king of Staten Island, which was a nightmare idea anyway.
Oh, my God. I did that once for a week. They keep rotating people because nobody wants to do it.
The
place smells like trash, Pete.
Come on, man.
The actual
Wu-Tang.
You got to take a ferry to get there. What's that about?
You can take a bridge. The actual king of Staten Island is an evil King Arthur. But he's not that bad.
Interesting. Moving on to another Image Comic Books book. Olympia number 1. This is by Kurt Pyers, who I believe did the art on 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank.
Yes.
I love this book. I thought this was so good.
Really?
Yeah. This is about a kid who loves this comic book called Olympia, which is like a classic Jack Kirby book. He's wandering through the woods. The main character, Olympia, falls to the ground out of that universe and interacts with him. Eventually, not a huge spoiler, but the villain shows up as well. I thought this was great. Like, this just seemed like a classic adventure story mixed with Jack Kirby books, and I really dug it a lot.
Very nostalgic, sort of like For the Love of Comic Book title. I really like the art, especially right at the beginning. The Kirby-esque influences here are really cool.
Yeah, it really felt like, to me, I had a sense of sort of like Stranger Things Season 1, and it really filled the Stranger Things hole in my heart.
Oh, my God.
Look at this. We have got holes in our hearts.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I just felt like when he's reading the book and then the main character shows up, I'm like, okay, is this him just imagining things? Like, is he going through some kind of trauma or something? What's going on?
Well,
so
but
I'm
imagine-
excited to see what's going to happen, but I think it's a solid first issue.
Well, imagine what you would feel like if you were reading a Punisher comic book and the Punisher came up and like shoved a fucking gun in your mouth. You'd be like, yeah.
I'd be like, I'm a huge fan. I would be super excited, man.
Yeah, he'd be like, stop fucking stealing streaming shows, you asshole, and then put 2 in the back of the head.
What if he got after you about that?
Yeah.
Well, we could have a conversation.
Wow.
Yes.
He's not one to talk.
The Punisher, known conversationalist. Last one. I don't know if we have time for
We
this.
have time, Dick.
Okay, just real quick. We do have to wrap this up really quickly. Batman number.
Stop drawing it out, asshole. Let's go. 83.
83. Okay.
83.
So in this issue, Batman is in Gotham City.
We should probably take it back to the origin.
No. So
It helps inform a lot
shut
of
the
it.
fuck up. All right, I'm talking. So the Batman finally realizes that Alfred is dead. Unbelievable. The emotion that happened in this comic, in the panels, him realizing what he had to do to be like let out of the room. Unbelievable. Like so powerful, so amazing. like when he takes his cape, like, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't want to talk about this book. It was so emotional. The art is fantastic. The storytelling and just the setup for the battle that's going to happen is unfucking believable.
So I'm sorry, just a quick question. So does this guy have bad powers or what's going on with him?
Oh my God, I hate you so much.
He says sonar like Daredevil. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I like this, but honestly, anytime a butler dies, that's what the rich person has to do. Anytime a butler dies.
That's not true.
That's 100% true.
Yeah, he has to fight his own dad.
Every butler that dies.
Yeah, they had to take their Batman cape off and put it over the.
And every butler
cry your way out of a room.
Every butler leaves a very long voicemail.
Oh, come on, that
with
was
some poetry
fucking
on it.
beautiful.
How many times do you think he had to record that? Do you think he kept getting cut off? And
I would have liked to hear a couple. Shit. Oh shit. Where was I in this Longfellow poem?
Come on, man.
No, this was great. I can't believe you want to talk about it so bad. You love that. You hate that Alfred is dead.
Yeah, it's fucking heart-wrenching.
And he's really dead.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Actually legitimately dead in real life, too.
Well, fuck that, man.
Yeah,
Tom
the real Alfred in our world died, too.
Come on.
Michael Caine also died.
Dude, I really hope Batman loses it and just starts, murdering, that dude's whole... anyone close
His
to that
dad?
guy. Yeah,
anyone close to his dad is him.
Yeah, no, but he's in another universe, Batman. So, I hope he goes to this universe and just starts fucking people up.
Killing all butlers.
Yeah, not all butlers.
You kill my butler, I'm going to kill all of your butlers.
That's a classic butler trade.
Yeah, classic Batman for you.
That, ending just before that, God, I'm so hyped for the next issue, man.
Yeah, this is great. This is classic Tom King, just greatness.
Yeah, it's a good, solid issue. Glad we had a chance to talk about
Glad
it.
we got into it. It's really good.
If you like
Anytime a butler dies, a Batman gets his batarangs. That's what they say. That's what they say.
Well, that's good. At least we got that out of the way, so we don't need to talk about the next two. If you would like to support our podcast, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. at the People's Improv Theater Loft in New York. Come on by. We'll chat with you about Batman, and that's it. Pete, what do you want to plug?
Friend us on Facebook so you get to know about the amazing guests we have on our live show.
Follow us on Twitter at Comic Book Live.
Check us out at comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. You can subscribe and comment on iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice, and we'll see you at the comic book shop.